Hello and welcome to this session on Origin and the future of cross-media measurement. I will let you judge at the end of the session whether you think the project lives up to the billing, but this is certainly, we think, the biggest, most significantly widely backed solution to the problem of cross-media measurement that the industry has been wrestling with for 10 or maybe even 15 years. So it's a slightly daunting prospect, but I will try and keep it simple in terms of what we're trying to achieve with a program that's global and UK driven, and tell you a little bit about where we've got to on the journey, who we're traveling with, where we're trying to get to, and why we think this is something that is really important for the industry. My name is Richard Halton. I am the project director working for ISBA, the Society of British Advertisers. They are critically driving this program on behalf of the advertiser community, but working with platforms, broadcasters, media agencies, measurement companies, to try and establish a common approach to cross-media measurement that can be adopted in the UK and hopefully in markets across the world. So first of all, I just thought to set the scene, we should talk about where this initiative has come from. And it's work that's been developed within ISBA and with the IPA over the last 2 or so years, backed by ISBA's hundreds of members, but with a specific advertiser advisory group that includes some of the brands up on the slide now. These brands are companies that obviously are spending across multiple media and looking for the most effective way of reaching consumers while respecting the different value of each kind of media in the mix. Advertiser backed is also important in terms, I think, of this initiative having cut through in a way that perhaps media measurement initiatives haven't had in the past. If you like, crudely put, follow the money. This is where the money comes into the advertising system, and these are the brands that want to see how that money is being spent. But they're also an important community who are, if you like, neutral and able to resolve tensions, issues, disputes around how things are measured, what's measured. And our job at ISBA is to work collaboratively with them, with platforms and with broadcasters to find a solution that works for the whole media industry. So the program has at its back a global framework developed by the World Federation of Advertisers to try and articulate what it is that we mean when we talk about cross-media measurement. And advertisers came together in the autumn of 2019 to talk about what did they mean when they said cross-media measurement. And what they've set out is quite an ambitious set of goals. We call it the North Star, around their ability to plan, report, optimize media across the whole life cycle, to have data reporting that is continuous, always on, comprehensive across all media, and that will over time enable us to understand advertising impact all the way through to outcomes. Now, if that sounds a very ambitious list, that's because it is. It's deliberately set at the sort of peak North Star ambition. But we've prioritized within that list of needs to a day one set of requirements focused on video and display and the ability to deduplicate reach and frequency. Now, media measurement doesn't exist in a vacuum. There are lots of issues that arise, not least around the consumer and privacy. And also from an industry perspective of making sure that any measurement system is fair, based on trusted and transparent metrics. And so the solution that we've set out to define isn't just about meeting the advertiser's needs, it's also about doing that in a way that works for the consumer and can be trusted by the whole industry. So that set of industry requirements and advertiser needs taken together represent the overall North Star that's been set by the WFA. And that framework was developed in the spring of this year and was published in September and is available on the Origin website, also at the WFA website. The ambition set by the WFA wasn't just about a set of goals. It was also trying to articulate how that framework could be delivered. And media measurement, as we've referred to already, has a lot to do with governance and making sure that there's a trusted, transparent, audited framework. It requires new thinking about technology, because media platforms today are sophisticated, capable of producing incredibly granular data. And the challenge is to come up with a solution that marries the detail of first-party impression level data with the trusted technologies of reporting linear TV. We also have articulated within the framework how we're going to address issues of privacy and protecting the rights of consumers, and then some thoughts on standards and metrics. And when we talk about cross-media metrics, what are the common identifying metrics and reporting frameworks that the industry can unite around? So the solution to cross-media measurement has been debated over the years. Is the answer to wait until all data can be reduced to ones and zeros and report digitally? Or is the answer to build big panels and try and capture the richness of different audiences' behavior across multiple devices purely from a metering or panel-based solution? What's been developed as part of the work by the WFA, and that we're now interrogating through the work we're doing on Project Origin, is actually a hybrid solution. So it takes the best of the panel solution, a complete view of all viewing that works to calibrate behaviours across the population. So no claiming that there are 75 million people living in the UK, and combines that with the richness of first-party data, which we are going to develop by creation of a virtual model of the UK. So imagine fusing a panel data set and infusing that with the individual data of each panelist to create a statistical model of the whole of the UK. And then individual publishers and broadcasters are able to run their data against that virtual ID model, and advertisers can then see how individual identities within that virtual model have been reached, and deduplicate those impressions to give a deduplicated view of reach and frequency, and also of duration of view. So there's a lot more available online articulating the technical solution, and our job at Origin has been to interrogate that and look at how we might adopt it for real in the UK market. So that's the global framework that's been established by the WFA, with involvement from teams in the UK and the Origin group in particular. Origin is the name specifically for the UK project to implement the WFA framework. And the ambition is that this will act as a blueprint for multiple markets. We're one of two countries developing a cross-media measurement solution based on the WFA framework, the US with the ANA being the other one. And in order to do that, we've brought together a large consortium of interests. So ISBA representing advertisers, media agencies as represented by the IPA, digital platforms, the brands that you can see here, and broadcasters. And we've been working together as a group since around about this time last year. First of all, to establish an alliance between these different communities, to talk about what might be measured, how that might be governed, and to look at the emerging proposals being developed by the WFA. And now the work we're doing at the moment, the second phase of work, has been about taking the framework, which I've just described developed by the WFA, to validate that. So kicking the tires, if you like, to check that it could work. Looking at how the UK TV market can be represented within a broader cross-media measurement framework, and thinking about how that could be made to work from a governance and funding perspective. And during that period of validation, we've been thinking about ways in which we could prove the solution, and take the question, if you like, from could it work to does it work? And so the next stage of the project is to try and develop a pilot, an end-to-end prototype of the solution, and look at how we can then scale that up to something that could be implemented with an agreed set of quality and audit under the aegis of a new venture, and we would expect that phase of work to take us right the way through 2021 and into 2022. So just to sort of visualize that a little bit, if you like, to begin with, we started off with a high-level design at the top left, the WFA blueprint. The work we're doing at the moment is to turn that into a detailed design, look at how that could be developed into actual components. And then the next phase of work is to build a working prototype, initially with synthetic data, to test the end-to-end plumbing, check that the data we expect to see come out based on the data that went in is correct, and then look at what it would take to scale that solution and what it would cost to operate at the same time as building out our thinking on how that would be governed and funded. And that prototype, I think, will tell us a lot about the feasibility of this solution at scale. And once we move beyond that to agreed set of exit criteria, we'll be able to start onboarding publishers, doing real data end-to-end tests, looking at the tools that we can surface data with to input data into advertisers or media agencies, and looking at how we audit for quality and performance across the data process and the outputs that we're generating. So it's a really ambitious program. The solution is being developed across multiple markets because it's designed to leverage some consistent global components as well as local components, and we need to coordinate across both of those. But we're building this in phases deliberately to try and build confidence, to establish a solution design, to validate that, if you like, as a desk exercise, and then via a prototype, and then to start to scale it and learning to build a solution that's effective and high quality that you would expect of any media measurement system. And I think part of that will be adhering to the standards of measurement organizations that already exist around the world. I think it's important that this has a clear focus on the needs of advertisers. If you like, that's the tie-breaking voice in any conversation about this system and solution and how it's designed. And I think it's also really exciting that this is being developed in the UK. The UK has a long track record of creating blueprints in the television industry, whether it's platforms, services, technologies, standards. And I think the UK market is particularly well suited to pioneer a solution like this that can be adopted in other markets. And we spend a good proportion of our time talking to colleagues across the world who are watching what we're doing and are interested with a view to adopting something similar of their own. And that's a conversation that we're managing alongside our development work, collaborating with the WFA. So it's a really big, very important program. It's caught the imagination of advertisers. It has very close engagement across the sales side, increasingly close working with agency groups as we start to think about how we integrate the data. And I think as we do more to build out a solution and can demonstrate it and build confidence in that, you'll see more and more kind of energy and excitement about the program as we build towards that goal in the summer of 2021. For anyone who would like to know more, there's a website at www.originmediameasurement.co.uk, and come online, have a look at the documents that we've got out there. We'll continue to build a repository of information, and you can get in touch with us via that site. So for now, thank you very much for listening, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.